Hey everyone, it is Natalie from Being Intentionally Creative. And I love the fact that in this video my workstation is relatively quiet of items, which is great. We're going to do another test with the Istoyo, the mixer I bought. Let's just call it the mixer I bought. We, in the last video, had done one with a paste to see how that would work. And I wanted to do something with mica powder in order to see how well it worked. And then I decided I was going to take this a little step further in that I want to try the thermochromic powder by Resin. It's the orange yellow I'm going to be using. The reason I want to try this is because I have found with this, and there's another one of their powders. This one changes color, but there's another one of their powders that's a little thicker. Or there's other powders I have that are a little thicker and more challenging to mix into your resin. I thought, well, this will be a great test to see how this works without me doing anything. Now, I've mixed my resin up. I'm just going to get a couple of things out of the way here. So I'm just going to bring this over. I have mixed my resin because I thought, well, you don't need to see that. You've already seen it being mixed in. The resin I'm using today is the resin from Dollar Tree because I wanted to use it up because it's been sitting. And I just feel it's best if I use it. So that's what we're using. And we're also going to put some of the glitter by Recollections in. I want to use this color here because it is sort of orange yellow. Good thing I know what I'm working with, right? Anyway, so let's pull this up like we did the last time. We'll let it drip a little bit. And then we'll switch it around. I'll stir this up just a little bit more to make sure the sides and the bottom have caught what resin there was in that. And we'll just slide that over there, put this back in here. And there were, some moments when I let this just mix on its own. I did the forward and backward again. I still haven't done the AI with it. I will get to that at, some point. I just, I left it just to do, I did 5 minutes of mixing with my resin. I also gave it a bit of a warm water bath because I've had the air conditioning on in the house because it has been really warm again here. Such a mix of weather. Such a mix. And I decided I would be best if I warmed it up a bit. There were some micro bubbles in it going into the mix, and I'm introducing a few now as I'm sort of stirring this up a little bit. This shouldn't take much more. I just want to go around the edges and on the bottom because that's the one thing when you're using a mixer. I'm sure it's pulling a lot of it in, as mixers do. But when I think of making a cake and you have to, push down at the sides and off the bottom, even when you're using a mixer for a cake or whatever kind of baking you're doing or whatever. Okay, so that's that done. All we're going to do with this is I'm just going to take some of this and I'm just going to dump it in. There goes the extent of my sort of technical jargon on that. And we're doing a Halloween cat. So I am going to add a fair bit of it. I want to see what this is going to do. So here's my spoon, and it's about 3/4 full. So we're just gonna dump it in. I'm not mixing any which way. I might add more if I feel I need to. I'll take this out. Now the one thing I did find with the mixer today was when I was trying to adjust where I wanted it, I found that as I was screwing in at the back, it was actually pushing this up. I'm not sure why. So I ended up having to hold it a little bit so it wouldn't do that. So let me just spin this a little bit and let's get this stirring. Nope, hold it. And let's see how it mixes it. Now, I don't know if I made a mistake by sort of putting the mixer on top of it, which would be my mistake if I maybe shouldn't have done it like that. and I may need to lift it up. So let's carefully lift this up. It is mixing sort of slowly, but I think I got too much under the blades. But I'm curious if this is something that you're going to have to still give it a little bit of help with. And I just want to bring it up a little bit. Again, I feel like I've got some stuck on my mixer. And it's vibrating a little too much there. Yeah, it's vibrating more. So let me stop it, because I might not have done it any favors by pushing it down into it. Okay, so there's not really any on the bottom. There's some in the grooves, but that's to be expected. So let's put it back in. I'm not sure why it was vibrating. So let me just get this back in securely. Move this over a little bit. And let's turn it back on. And let's let it mix it up some more. Again, I don't know if it'll do it any better than I could by hand. It might. I feel like I haven't got near enough of the colorant in there. We'll turn it around. Well, get spinning the other way. I can see one piece that are floating around that just got caught up into the beater. Is it mixing better than I probably could by hand? Yeah, maybe. Again, I thought this would be a good test just because this stuff is so... It's thicker. It's thicker than regular mica. I know I've got one little piece down there. But, you know, having a couple little pieces is better than the amount I have. So we'll go back the other way. Probably going to have to break up that one little piece with my stir stick. Okay, I think what we're going to do is I'm going to put a little bit more in there. Just because I can. I haven't used much of this stuff at all. And just drop it in just like you would in a cake mix. And let's see if it takes it down and mixes it in. I may have to lift it up again like I did the first time, just because it's getting caught up around the top. So let me do that very carefully. And I would recommend you be really careful if you're doing this, that you don't, you know, no sudden movements, no really jerking it around, just gently adjust it or shut it off completely. Now it's kind of getting a ring around there, so I'm going to turn this the other way so it, yeah, mixes it down. That was a good idea. So I would suggest, yeah, with this stuff, you're definitely mixing it both ways. I do it with the regular resin anyway. I've got a little piece caught up in the top of that beater. So this is the last day of the long weekend. I hope you've all had a wonderful weekend. I've had a good weekend. Downtime trying to relax for sure. Doing this video a little earlier as usual just because we need to let the resin set up. But I hope you've had a wonderful weekend with whatever you've gone up to. I hope the weather's been nice. It's been beautiful here. Warm, as I mentioned, but beautiful. I'll go that way. I do have some pieces on my beater. I could see that. We do have some air bubbles in there. Again, part of that could be because of the resin. I want to stop that from going that way, and then I'm just going to shut this off completely. Okay. I do have a little bit of it on that beater. I hope you can, you obviously should be able to see it. And I've got some in between, so let's push this off. Again, it's one of those powders that I think is going to be, it's going to be more challenging to get it mixed in, which is normal when I hand mix it too. So I can't The beater is definitely doing better than I could have done, but I still think that because of the type of powder it is, it's going to be a little difficult. So we'll throw it back, well, place it. We will place this back in. Do it just a little bit more. I've got a piece on the side. Let me get this spun the right direction. I'm going to push this down the side. How challenging can something get? And then we will mix it a little bit by hand. Just let it do a little bit more. And I think what we're going to do too now while we're at it, we'll throw some of the sparkles in it. Yeah, because that powder, and I don't know if we'll do the same with like plain mica powder, that you'll want to, I almost think you want to put it in kind of mixed up a little bit and then let the mixer take over. But we're not doing too badly. Okay, I believe that's the one I want. Yep, go with that. Clean my spoon off. I thought sparkles would look kind of cool. It's one of those things I seriously got to concentrate because I don't want sparkles all over the place. And yeah, so I'm being quiet and concentrating. Gotta love that, eh? Let's just turn this the other way as well. And I don't think these are, now let's see, Recollections, chunky polyester glitter. It doesn't say that they're neon or anything like that. Side off to the side. That looks kind of cool, the color it is right now. Okay, I think we've let this spin long enough. And I'm impressed too. I mean, this has been sitting for a couple of days, and I think the battery power is still where I was when I did the last video. Got lots of glitter on. I don't want to take that away. Lots of glitter on this, so we'll try and get some of it off. And it doesn't really matter. In the grand scheme of things, it doesn't really matter. I'll let it sit and soak, drip into the other, and then we'll just mix this up a little bit by hand, just because, as I say, I'm wanting to do that, not because there's something, you know, against the mixer. I just think because this stuff is a little more chunky, I just want to make sure there's no really big chunks in it, and I don't think there is. I think all the blending has absolutely helped. And I'm not going to worry about the stuff that's on the side. Okay. Now, I have a Let's Resin. I have the dinosaurs. No, they're not dinosaurs. They are dragons. They're 3 set of those. And they had figured around about 120 mils for them. These cats that I've got, they're not as big as those. So I've done 100 mils. And I am fingers crossed, because we know what happened with the last one. I was totally off of my numbers. So let me show this to you just so you can see. Looks pretty good, eh? I'm impressed. I have to admit, I am impressed with this. So I'm going to let this slide down. So we're not, I know some people say if you let the resin go in from a higher height, that you'll introduce less bubbles. My aim with most things isn't all that great, so I'm not really prepared to do that. If you find that, if that's something you know to be, if you found that, great, let us know, because that'll be helpful for anyone else who wants to know that. I just want to spin this around. We've talked about that before. We're spinning things around so that we don't get any air bubbles. And I want to move that out because I think I might have one in that ear or horn. And I don't want any. And I got a big one, I think. Yeah, I got a big one over there. So if we can just kind of spin and then slowly let the resin go back in, I tend to think we'll be better off. We won't get the air in. So I like letting it go down the side. As my hand's right in the way of seeing that. So let me move it. Let me do it this way. I just find if I go down along sides and it gets to slide down into the mold, I do think that helps. That's just, it makes me feel better to think that helps. So, and are any of you who watched, you have kids that are going back to school? I sometimes think it's an exciting time for kids when they get to go back to school, get to see their friends after the holidays. Here we are, totally focused again on what we're doing. Yeah, I think, I mean, in watching that, okay, I'm noticing, well, what I'm not seeing is chunks of that powder, which is brilliant. Which is brilliant. So just stop that for a moment, make sure I haven't introduced any bubbles anywhere. I think we're doing well. I think we're doing well. So I'll maybe speed up this process a little bit more for you, unless you're just enjoying watching the... Now, if you're seeing some orange, I'll call it, that's the flecks of the glitter. That's not powder. I can tell by the way it's floating, because some of them are going from one side to the other. So it's not the powder. I'm going to be really happy. You have no idea how happy I'm going to be if I got the amount of resin right for this one. And I'm seriously going to have to write it down, because this I don't have written down. A little bit bigger than the others, but I mean, as long as we're sort of within the 100 mark range, I'm good. I think we're going to have enough. Isn't that exciting? I'm happy for me. I don't know about you, but I'm happy for me. We're almost there. I'm going to stop it right there. I'm going to move my mixer, I was going to say, out of the way, and I've got everywhere I want to put it, there's something in the way of it. So let me just move some of this stuff more out of the way so I have a spot for it, and then I'll bring that up. So we're pretty much full on this, which is brilliant. Yay me. And I'm just wondering if I should place this in something before I totally fill it up, because as you know, I like to be cautious, and I just got to make sure it's going to sit flat. I don't think it's going to sit flat in that one. Yeah, you might sit, glass is probably better. Let's see if I can do this without major messing it up. Yay! Look at me go. And okay, so I have a tip for you, and also something to be aware of, because I did it today when I was pouring my resin. So I mark the bottom of my containers, and I'll show you here. Can you see the A on that? So I mark my containers A and B, because I don't want to mess up what goes into what container, especially if I have to mix up more resin or want to mix up more resin. And today, in all my wild, brilliant wisdom, I actually, you're going to love this. I actually put B and A and B. And I caught it. Like, I knew I'd done it, and I went, okay, this is a perfect example of me not paying attention to what I'm doing. And I know some people have commented about, you know, making errors with their resin and whatnot. And I knew it. Like, I went, oh, you got this in the wrong containers. So I like having them marked because of how I measure out. Like, I measure part A into one container, B into the other, and then I mix them up and together. And I know some people are very comfortable just putting it, like, measuring into one container up to a certain point and putting the second on top of it. That isn't how I operate because I don't trust that well enough for me. The other thing I do is I mark. I'm not doing anymore, so I don't, well, I know I reverse them, so it doesn't matter. But I also, on my bottles, I mark. It's got it on the lid for me. It's got it on the label for me, but I mark in red marker. So I know when I'm picking it up, if I don't see the front label, I know what's in each container. That makes me feel better. Just because, well, I don't want to be making a mistake with this. So that's a tip or for you if you want to do it, or maybe you're already doing it. It's something I've been doing since the beginning, just because I feel that it'll make my, like, it's a safeguard. That's all I look at it as. It's a safeguard for me. Okay. We got enough resin in that. And as you saw, like, next to no powder. So it's brilliant because I was getting frustrated when I was mixing because I was getting those clumps in it. So from that perspective, I'm excited about that if it will mix that up decently, then I don't have a concern about mica powder. And it, like, mica powder I find would be thinner and easier for it to mix than that is. And I wish I could remember the thermochromic. There's another one it may be one of the neons. It may be the neon colors. I don't think the glow in the dark's too bad. Maybe the neon colors, but there's some that are just, they're heavier. I guess because of maybe what they have to put in it, but they're heavier. And that's something that I thought, oh, I could do mica powders. And I thought, ooh, but let's do, now there's a little bit dripped off the bottom of that. It must be some of the powder in it that's just coming off the bottom of it. And as I said, the last time I took this out, it came out a lot easier. So let's, okay. So I'll get that wiped down in good time. Yeah, so it's caught some of the, I'm pulling off of the blades, some of the powder, mica powder. I am pulling some of that off. But again, not a sufficient quantity, not anything I'm, concerned about, oh, it's not doing a good enough job. Like, I'm impressed. I'm impressed, to know it's doing it on its own. Again, if I was doing a lot, I probably would, stay with it. I'm going to have a fun time getting that glitter off of that, but that's besides the point. I'll clean that up some more in a minute. Anyway, I have to admit, I'm impressed. I do have some of the powder it would have been on the blades, and it's just dripping off now, but not enough for me to be at all concerned about that. Anyway, I thought this was another cool video that we needed to do to see that we weren't having an issue, and I'm just going to mix that color in. And then I'm going to go find something I can put the rest of this into. And we will be back when this is ready to take out of the mold, and we'll see how it looks then. So I will be back when this is ready to take out of the mold, and you only have to wait moments. I'll stop saying that now. Anyway, I'll see you once we're ready to take this cat out of its mold. See you then. We are ready to take the cat out of its mold. I had leftover resin. I just put it into the flowers. The flowers that I have, these mini flowers. I'm thinking what I might do is put magnets on the back of them and use them as fridge magnets. Very sparkly. Oops. Very sparkly. It was kind of interesting when I came down to see how these were doing, because it was getting colder in the house. The color was actually changing to this orange color versus the more yellow color we had when we first made the piece. So I think that's kind of cool. I love the glitter in that. That's cool. I almost want to do something on the top in here to differentiate. I was thinking about the cat too, and when you well, I find when I do pieces like this, if they're all the solid color, you can't really make out the definition of any of the design that's on them. So I was trying to think with the cat, what am I going to do? What color am I going to use on it? I have the chrome markers, and they're by, I want to say, I have the Let's Resin ones. And I've used them on different things before. And I'm just trying to think, so what do I do? I mean, these look so pretty. But you want the definition on them. You want to be able to see where the petals are on them and the center. I'm going to have to do something just to, I mean, they look beautiful the way they are, but I want more definition to them. So let's get this out. So I haven't really paid much attention to them as far as, do we have any lumps or whatnot of the Let's Resin powder in them. But when we were pouring it, it was like you were seeing the flecks of the glitter. It wasn't, and when I've done it manually, I've gotten the flecks in it from not having mixed the powder in well enough. So like I say, I'm really impressed that it's mixing it as well as it is so that I don't have those lumps in it, which is great. If that's important to you, if it's not a big deal, you know, that's cool too. But I'm working on not being a perfectionist, but I'm a bit of a perfectionist. And when I have stuff that just, you know, yeah, I have the cat out of your range right now to get this over the head. But you know, if I can avoid those kind of marks and whatnot, then I want to. It's getting caught in the cat's nose. You gotta come over the back of the head first. Oh, I would not want to have mixed a mold in this. Trying to yank this off. Wow. Yeah, I was getting caught in the cat's nose. Anyway. Okay, so here's our cat. Now, lots and lots of glitter up in the head, eh? That's okay. And I know I had done the coloring on the eyes on one of the other ones. Oh man, did that ever, yeah, not turn out well. Anyway, so here we have it. The flecks are the glitter. But it, you know, it mixed it so well. And there's no, you know, unmixed powder markings on this, which is beautiful. I'm glad I bought it. It's been worth, I questioned not the cost because it wasn't all that much, but it was a matter of, you know, do you really want to do this? And it was something I wanted to try out, and I had been wanting to try out for a while. And yeah, it's worth it to me to do it. So it'll be interesting when I go to do bigger batches and use the bigger paddle in it. I might have to do that more instead of just putting the paddle in and letting it mix on its own, like, you know, do it like as if I were doing a cake batter or something like that, just because it'll be in a bigger dish. But yeah, that's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Well, I'm going to see what I can do with this guy. I'll be posting pictures once I do get him more colored up, and because I really would like you to see the definition on that. Anyway, I'll post it on my Being Intentionally Creative page. Thank you for watching. This will probably be the last video I do in reference to the mixer, because we've seen both now a paste, we've seen it mixed just regular clear resin, and now we've seen it mixed with a pigment powder that's thicker. So that's brilliant, and one that's got glitter in it. I hope you found it useful. If you have any thoughts, comments, please, put them in down below. I like those. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day of this long weekend, whatever it is you've gotten up to, getting up to. And welcome September. Take care. Bye for now.